Alright guys, we are back. Hopefully you find your way back to this. So I will wait for a second here until some people get back on before I start yapping. I was in some ways a victim of my own. I was in some. So, okay, I guess a couple of you have found your way back. So I was in some ways a victim of my own bright ideas because I had one of the things that I have to do when I do the streams is um, I have to cancel I have to turn off all of the um, Holy Grail settings. I can't do any of the upscaling or downscaling because then what happens is it all shows up in the sim, or it scales to a point where you can't see um, the screen in when you're on YouTube. So in any event, hopefully everybody will make their way back here. We are in the British Virgin Islands where we left off last time. And it should have been obvious to me what was happening because this has happened before. So now we're going to turn all this fun business off. And we are ready to go here. So we'll go external power supply on. We'll go rotating beacon on, mixtures and props full forward, master and battery switches on, fuel pumps on. We'll open the fuel valves. Open the starter hood cover, magnetos on left, throttles are cracked. And for any of you who are in the Caribbean right now, of course you know that that there is no that the weather is not like this. I'm using just a preset weather, and there's also no ship in the at the airport here. But anyway, toes on the brakes, throttles are cracked. Take a look outside, make sure there's nobody to kill or maim, and there is not. And we'll go right engine first. Good start. Manifold pressure is good. Oil pressure is good. Left engine is clear. Left engine good start. Manifold pressure good. Oil pressure is good. Mags to both. Close the starter cover. Fuel pumps off. Lean the mixtures for taxi. Okay, avionics master switch is on. Nav and strobe lights on. Let's turn the external power supply off. We will release the parking brake. So, let's see, Mr. Atomic. Good evening, Kevin47. How's it going, man? Hope you've been well as well. E3N, hello. Timeless Films and Media. Yeah, I've been watching a live stream out of St. Thomas or St. John actually for most of the day, and the weather's been pretty bad. E3N, I have not been down that way yet. I sort of did a roundabout trip here around the Caribbean. We are definitely going to hit. We're definitely going to head out that way towards the ABC Islands, and we're gonna do Margarita Island in Venezuela as well. And there's a little island called Los Roques, which I'm sure you know, E3N. We're definitely going to head out that way. Because that's just a great route, and we're gonna head out that way. This part of the Caribbean is kind of a little bit difficult too because we are kind of hopscotching around because the islands here are not super conducive to just kind of a straight flight, you know. Whereas when you're coming up like the Antilles, you can just go. That ship cracks me up. When you're coming up the Antilles, you can just, you know, go pretty much in a straight line. It's no big deal. So once again, there's a beautiful ship in the taxiway. Got Beef Island there. And let's see. So we're gonna go flight plan. Actually, why don't we just go, I wonder if I can just go direct to procedure, CDI. So I hate the GNS 530, and I know hate is a strong word, but I really do. It's just, it's such a, there we go. It's such a cumbersome, let's see if we can get over here a little bit. It's such a cumbersome thing to work with. And not quite so bad in real life, but in the sim it's really brutal. And I'm actually having some trouble with the GTN 750 in my actual airplane right now. I gotta figure out what's going on. Let's go one more TISX. So that is a dead giveaway of where we're going today. We're gonna go down to St. Croix. There's the Hams Bluff Lighthouse on kind of the northwest corner of the island. And we're gonna go check that out. SBMG, you are correct. E3N. Hey Kevin, I really appreciate that, man. That's awesome. I don't know if you were here when I restarted the stream. I was mentioning, all right, let's go landing lights on. Always have your landing lights on when you're on a runway, because you want to be as visible as possible. And put the flaps down. We'll go fuel pumps on. I think we're just gonna do intersection departure here. I think we can easily get off the ground in the amount of runway we've got going for us here. Yeah. We'll do short field takeoff just to be sure. Alright, so toes on the brakes, heading indicator checks with the runway number. Mixtures and props, full forward, lights are on, flaps are set, fuel pumps are on, takeoff power is coming in. Takeoff power is set, engine instruments in the green. Let's release the brakes. And do my fidgeting. Alright, airspeed's alive. 65 knots and rotate. That ship is still cracking me up. Alright, this is a cool, watch this. Aside from the ship being there, this is really pretty cool. So I think that ship is because I've got, I have the, I forget what it's called. There's a boat scene, a boat add-on, a shipping add-on that I have, and it's apparently gone a little haywire. Alright, we can let the nose come down just a little bit, bring the flaps up. And this is a pretty sweet view right here. That is just awesome. That is just awesome. This is what happens every time I try to fly and not look at the, if I try to fly from the outside of the plane. But Kevin, what I was saying was that It's 1,000 feet. AGL will turn the fuel pumps off. Fuel pressure's looking good. So I had the Holy Grail settings set up because I was just doing some regular flying yesterday, like non-streaming, just some regular flying. I was gonna record a YouTube video, but the landing didn't go so well, so that one didn't make YouTube. But when I have the Holy Grail settings set up, it's upscaled and then downscaled, and so what the OBS program picks up is the upscaled image. So that's why I get that only part of the screen showing, and I should have known that because it's happened before trying to stream. But once again, we have learned another lesson. Captain Megazenon, what's going on, sir? Welcome aboard. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much. It's funny because a lot of my knowledge about these islands, I mean, some of the places I'm truly very familiar with, like Anguilla, Guadeloupe. I know my way around St. Bart's or St. Martin, St. Bart's a little bit, but so much of it is really truly just from flying in the sim. And I've got a gazillion hours just flying around in circles in the sim in the Caribbean, which is pretty funny. It's so cool how you can, with it's 50 feet below our cruise altitude. Let's pull the props back, pull the power back, put the nose down here a little bit. It's just cool how accurate the sim is, that it can get you a pretty realistic view of a part of the world. I mean, I'm so comfortable flying around the islands now, in terms of knowing where everything is, where all the airports are, which island is which, and whether I'm flying the ATR, the 737, or something smaller like this. It's just funny. I feel like I know the area, whereas, in real life, I haven't. CVI is gonna go GPS. And what's our heading here? And it's alright, doesn't matter. So. Yeah, the timeless films. I was thinking that same thing. I was actually telling my girlfriend the other day that after the last stream, that it just blows my mind that there's people that are actually in these islands, watching me stream flying in these islands. It's just kind of funny. We'll get a little bit of some maybe a little bit of IFR time here. So yeah, this part of the islands and hopping down to St. Croix to see the next point of interest. It's kind of not that easy to it's not a straight line shot, but I feel like St. Croix is a place that doesn't get a lot of attention either. I went to St. Croix in 2014 or 15, and hey Chris, what's going on? Let's see. Yeah, Chris, exactly. I mean, that's the cool thing, right? The funny thing is I haven't done the same thing in the sim in my where I actually live. Which is kind of funny. Hopefully I got my mic turned off in time before I sneezed just now. Alright, let's lean the mixtures, and we're going to start pulling back on the red levers. We're going to watch the EGTs go up here, and when they peak and reverse, we go back in. So, just in real life, you would actually do this a little bit differently than I'm doing it. So there's the peak, and so you come back in about 2 notches there. Hey Peter, what's going on? How's everything going in Belgium? So I think I told you last time that I saw you. I have a very good friend of mine that lives in Brussels. Very, very good friend of mine that lives in Brussels. And we were actually talking about maybe at some point going to the Formula One race at Spa. I'm a huge Formula One fan. Yeah, Kevin, I'm the same way. What was I saying? So anyway, we went to St. Croix in 2000. I think it was 15, and St. Croix is an interesting place. It's interesting how islands have their own vibe. You know, like each island really has its own feel, and I don't know if St. Croix has changed. Yeah, exactly, Peter. I think so too. I think it's an awesome circuit. But St. Croix had kind of an edgy feel to it, you know. And I guess part of it is like being used to Anguilla, where you can be. I mean, Anguilla's starting to have some issues with late night funny business. 212. But I mean, St. Croix is, Anguilla is a very, very safe place. It's a very, very safe place. Why is it doing this? 212. No, that's weird. No. But St. Croix had kind of an edgy vibe to it. You know, like we didn't. That's not how this should work on the GPS, but 212. But the things I liked about St. Croix. It was a huge. I mean, it's a huge island. It's a very, very big island. It would also be good if I would aim in the direction of St. Croix. That would help us on our flight. Like St. Croix is a very, very big island, and it's beautiful. I mean, I like having a little bit in the way of landscape, like changes to the islands when I'm there. Like that's what I liked about Guadeloupe as well. It was such a big island that had so many different like microclimates. And St. Croix was like that too. I mean, St. Croix's got I don't know if it's officially a rainforest, but it's got like a rainforest type of like mountainous kind of area. And but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful island. But it had some really weird, political stuff going on when we were there. It was like during the elections, and there was like, they weren't friendly elections. Let's put it that way. And but it was interesting. It was an interesting place to see. I think next up on our real life island hopping is going to be I want to go to the French side of St. Martin. That's what I really want to see. I'm going to go stay over in Grand Casse and watch planes land all day long. But yeah, St. Croix is right there. Actually, is a little bit quicker than I thought it was going to be. Hey Wilbur, good afternoon, sir. How are you? Welcome aboard. So the lighthouse that we're looking for is like right over here. I think what we're gonna do, come down here and we'll go fly along Frederiksted. This is right here, officially the easternmost point in the United States. Right there. You can tune in here for your stupid trivia. We drove over there one day when we were in St. Croix. So there we go. I forget what the name of. I'm surprised I didn't use that as a point of interest. I'm gonna look this up now, and we're gonna go check it out. Okay, so Point Udall. Point Udall is at the eastern end of St. Croix, and they do not have it as a point of interest in the sim, which I find kind of silly. So we're gonna go check it out. So kind of funny on the tech side of things the last few days. So I have to change all my settings when I do the stream flights, because if I don't, I'll get what I got today, which is the scaling messing with the view, and so I undo everything, undo all my normal settings to do the streams, and then I reset them back up, like the Holy Grail and frame gen and all that stuff, when I'm just doing my regular everyday flying. And yesterday or Monday? It was Monday, and it was really like, I use Track IR5, and you can this right here is from the frame gen mod, like the kind of the transparency of that hub right there. But the other day, on Monday, like the panning was really choppy, and but because I had just undone settings and redone settings and blah blah blah, I wasn't really cued into the fact that of what was causing it. And then I got done with the flight. That's Point Udall. We're gonna head over there, and I realized I had turned the FrameJet mod off. But it was kind of a cool experiment in a way, because it showed me how effective the FrameGen mod is. I mean, it really is. And I was reading some comments this morning. I don't think it was on any of my videos. I think it was maybe the Microsoft forums or something. I don't remember. But somebody made a really good point. Is that the FrameGen mod is all about smoothness. It's all it's about. Now we talk about it like in terms of FPS, because that's what everybody's obsessed with, right? And it's going to double your FPS, but if it doubles your FPS and doesn't give you a good smooth performance, then what's the point, right? But with the FrameGen mod going, I mean, this is so butter smooth. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Really is an ugly duckling of an airplane, isn't it? And the funny thing is too, it's not nearly as wide as it looks in the sim. Like the real airplane, this cockpit, you are shoulder to shoulder with whoever's sitting right next to you. funny stuff. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to fly kind of this way across this point here, then turn back around and come so we get a good pilot side view of Point Udall. Then we'll come along the coast here and we'll look at Christiansted, which is, for those of you who aren't from the islands or not familiar with it, there are two major cities in St. Croix. One of them is Christiansted, which is right here, which is the capital, and then there's Frederiksted, which is over here. And this is all pretty mountainous right along here, and this is all very flat, open land down here. We drove all the way around, everywhere when we were down there. We love like taking a rental car and just going wherever. Yeah, the Trilander, Chris, is a weird. I don't. You know, it's so funny how. So the story behind the Trilander. You might wonder, why on earth does it have 19 seats? It has 19 seats, and you're like, okay, well, what sense does that make? Because from 20 seats, there are certain areas of the world, I think the FAA being one of them, where if you have 20 or more seats, it falls under a different set of regulations for transport category. Bring the props back here a little bit. So they designed it to be 19 seats, just so that, because the bigger they get, the more strict the regulatory oversight is. And the funny thing is too, like, you can literally take a seat out of your airplane, and that counts as whatever. Like if you've got like a 6-seat airplane, you take one seat out, it's legally speaking a 5-seat airplane, which is bizarre to me. But anyway, so the Trilander has 19 seats, so that it doesn't fall under the more strict regulations, particularly FAA regulations. And I don't. A lot of airplane design is by just necessity. So my guess is the reason they put a third engine on it was because it needed 3 engines, which is just funny. I mean, it is such a bizarre airplane. It really is. But it's such a cool airplane too. I mean, the fact that number of seats, I'm sorry, it's 17. It's 17 seats. I've never flown in it, and it's the same body. I mean, it's just twice as long. It's a bizarre airplane. It really is. So there is Christiansted right in front of us, and this. Oh wow! Check that out. What is the name of that? Park. This is. What is it called? I can't find it. But this is a national park right here. This island. I think it's called. What's it called? But anyway, I took a boat, and this beach right here is just stunning. But there's an underwater, like, there's an underwater. Obstacle course is not the right word. There's an underwater, like, swimming path that you can go along, and it's really, really neat. Virgin Islands National Park. That is it. Buck Island. That's what it is. That's Buck Island. Right there. Very, very cool. The water mass just looks amazing. Hey Ray, ¿cómo estás, amigo? It's funny as I said, when we went to Guadeloupe, I learned like as much Spanish as I could, or as much French as I could in like a year before we went. And but the funny thing is, so my girlfriend's Venezuelan, and so I speak a lot of Spanish, not a lot of Spanish, but some Spanish. And when I would try to speak Spanish, or when I would try to speak French in Guadeloupe, I would always start speaking Spanish. It was really pretty funny. Ray, okay, that came out today, must be. Bear X, this plane is awesome. This plane is really, really cool. I like this airplane a lot. Let's see. The flight physics of this airplane are fantastic. It handles very, very well. Handles very true to the real aircraft. And this right here, that's Point Udall, so there's a monument right here. And it looks like it's actually there. So I wonder why. Look at that, yeah, it's there. This is very dangerous, by the way. That's the monument, so why would they not have it? Why would they not have it in the sim as a point of interest? It doesn't make any sense. Hey Mike, what's going on? Welcome aboard, man. Absolutely, join us. So what I'm wondering is why. So I'll continue my 5-cent tour here, so I don't crash. So this is the easternmost point in the United States, and that monument that we just flew over is really there. Like, I've been there, and it's really cool, and it's clearly in the sim. And I don't have, maybe it's from one of the US, like the US updates to the sim, but I don't think they updated the Virgin Islands when they did that. But I mean, that's Point Udall, and I don't understand why they don't advertise it as one of the points of interest in the sim when it's clearly there. It's really weird. Yeah, visibility's good. We got Mike, they haven't updated this plane in ages. They haven't updated this plane in forever. I think this is still version 2.0 of this airplane. I haven't even checked, to be honest with you, to see whether it was updated in quite a while. So, over national parks at less than 2,000 feet. But we're going to do that because this is a simulator. So this is Buck Island National Park. And there is somewhere along this southern coast here, there is a underwater, like, obstacle course kind of thing that you can do. And it's really pretty fun. It's really pretty fun. I mean, this just looks amazing. It just looks amazing. And I'll show you where we went snorkeling. We went snorkeling. Oh, I got a funny story for you. Actually, I have a funny story for you about this. This is going on 10 years ago, and my girlfriend still hasn't forgiven me for this one. So I'm not exactly in open water. So this is where you bring your boat over here and park up, and you just go snorkeling along in here. It's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Hey Mike, enjoy your lunch, my friend. Yeah, so Kevin, I fly the 737 and the ATR. I love the ATR. I absolutely love the ATR. And so yeah, they do interest me. I like flying. I like flying both, really. And I mean, I'm actually glad about this sim update because it's gotten me out of the bigger airplanes and back into GA planes. I used to fly the Islander a ton before I got into the 737 and the ATR. I really think, yeah, it hurts, exactly. I honestly, I think the ATR is the most, to me, it's the best combination of like hand flyability. That's not really a phrase. There's the yacht club. That's not really a word. But a plane that you can hand fly, but it is also a transport airplane, and it's, you know, big enough that you can go places with it, you know. I just love the ATR. It's got some silly bugs that are really problematic, especially if you fly it. It's not a big deal if you fly it in the Caribbean because it's VFR down here 300 days a year. But if you fly it in Europe, it's going to be a really big problem because the procedures, the approaches, just doesn't fly them consistently. You know, sometimes I'll fly an RNAV approach and it'll fly it just fine. Sometimes it'll put me 2 miles short of the runway. It's just I can't quite figure it out. This is Frederiksted. No, Christiansted, excuse me. This is the capital of St. Croix. And not really very well modeled. Okay, yeah, so you got the 42,500 hertz. That's I'm so psyched that Winair is expanding. I really am, because you know, it speaks to the good things that are going on in the islands. You know, it really does. And Kevin, yeah, the 777 is going to be a day one purchase for me. It will be an absolute day one purchase for me, I think, for a lot of people. But yeah, I like flying all kinds of things. I just like flying, period. You know, it's funny because I never flew larger planes in sims until Microsoft, and it was only because of my buddy Z Sim Pilot got me into it. Yeah, I've watched some Silver Air flights into Key West, and it's pretty cool. Key West is an interesting place. I've actually been to Key West too. I flew with the Conch 1 Air Force. That's another place that's a little bit, let's say, unique. Key West. They're a very individualistic lot down there. It's a fun place. We did a biplane flight around Key West. Chris, I do believe so. Yes, I do believe so. For president, anyway. They do not have a congressman or a senator, as far as I know. I know they don't have a senator. They may have a non-voting. Uh, they may have a non-voting member of Congress. But I know they don't have a senator. So when we were in St. Croix, we were looking at houses along here, like with a real estate agent, and like one of these ones like along the hills, like looking out on the water, and we were looking for we were looking for the key at one of these houses because they put them like under a potted plant or something, and I bumped my head like really hard against the mailbox at the house we were looking at when I was trying to see if I could find the key somewhere. And then about a minute later, we looked, and there was a really big and really mean-looking snake that was hiding behind the mailbox. So like I came really, really, really close to getting bit by a bad-looking snake. And the other story I forgot to tell you, which happened at Buck Island. That island back over there. And by the way, there's a great resort right here. So when we went snorkeling, we were on this catamaran, like I don't know, probably 35-foot catamaran that we chartered to go take us out to Buck Island to go look at Buck Island and then go snorkeling, and that's a really cool resort right there. I forget what it's called. But apparently my girlfriend was speaking with the captain of the boat. Yeah, exactly. And he told her about this really big barracuda that liked hanging out underneath the boat when he parked the boat in Buck Island. And she knew that I would not like that, so she didn't tell me about it. I think that's the lighthouse right here. So she didn't tell me about the barracuda. So we went snorkeling. I don't know if you guys know what a barracuda is. A barracuda is a big, nasty looking fish. I mean, it's a big silver fish. Yeah, there's the lighthouse. Big, shiny silver fish. That is really cool. Look at that. What I find fascinating about the POIs in the world updates is that you really have to go look for them. They're not like, it's not like the Eiffel Tower, you know? They're like little things that you really have to go look for. So anyway, so a barracuda is a big, it's probably like, I don't know, 3 feet long, and very shiny silvery fish that has the nastiest looking teeth that you will ever see in your life. And so she didn't tell me about this fish. And so we're coming back from going snorkeling, and there's the ladder hanging off the side of the boat that you gotta climb up to get back into the catamaran. And we're swimming over there, and the barracuda is hanging out literally right underneath the boat, the catamaran. And so my girlfriend grew up in Venezuela. She's very familiar with barracudas. I grew up in New York. I am not familiar with barracudas. Like, to me, that's just a big, mean-looking fish, and I have no idea what it's going to do. And so she was in front of me getting onto the ladder to get onto the boat, and she's just taking her sweet time, getting her snorkel gear off and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, she's blocking the the ladder to get back onto the boat. And this is the Frederiksted Pier. This is Frederiksted right here. It's a really cool waterfront. Really, really beautiful. The place we stayed is right over here-ish. And so I was as patient as I could be for as long as I could be, until I decided that I didn't want to sit there staring at that fish anymore. And I don't even know how I did it. I literally elevated out of the water. That's really did a nice job. I literally elevated out of the water and up the ladder. I don't even know if I touched the ladder on the way up. And I basically just climbed right over top of her. And that's about right where we stayed right there. A place called Sandcastle on the beach. I literally just climbed right over top of her. And yeah, Peter, yeah. And I just launched myself out of the water and up the ladder. And let me just say, she was none too impressed with my behavior that day, and she has still not let me forget about it. She still talks about it. Here's the airport right over here. I'm gonna do a little bit more down the coast here a little bit. You can see what I mean, how big the island is, and how like the different the different climates. I mean, this is all like rainforest. I don't know if it's officially rainforest. I think it is, but it's very dense forest, very tropical. Frederiksted is a neat place. It was kind of undeveloped at the time when we were there. Like, there was a lot of empty, like there's like really old, like 1700s like colonial type buildings on the waterfront, and really, really neat place. But yeah, I basically stepped over my girlfriend to get out of the water. She was not too happy, but she still tells the story. But that's all right. Yeah, that's a nasty looking fish. The thing about the water, the thing about anything in the water, like, is anything that comes from the water is a whole lot more comfortable in it than I am. And that's their territory. I ain't messing with it. You know? Travis, where did you say you lived in BVI again? I think you mentioned the other day. But I don't remember specifically. No, Barracks, it is not. We were talking about this the last flight, and I thought it was, but it isn't. What's funny is seeing you see these in real life with glass panels, and it just looks so weird because it's such a, in a lot of ways, it's a very kind of primitive plane. I mean, it's very basic, very utilitarian. You know, very, very much function over like beauty. And to see him with like full glass cockpits, like what is it, like the G600, G500, G600. And this is a huge oil terminal coming up right here. I don't know if they added this because in the sim update 16, or if it was there before. I can't remember. I haven't flown down to St. Croix in quite a while. But this is like a massive oil refinery right here. Nice, Mike. I'm glad. I'm glad. Yeah, I love flying stories. There's a Boeing 787 captain on Instagram who is an Asian guy. He's probably pushing 60, I'd have to say. I think it's B787 driver. I'm gonna look him up. If you like flying stories, oh, okay, here we go. I'm gonna type it into the chat. If you like flying stories, you gotta follow this guy on Instagram. He flew. He's hysterical. He flew the 747 for a long time. For, I believe, B787 bus driver. This is what he calls himself. He's been an airline pilot for 35 years. Or 30 years or whatever it is, and he's just got the greatest stories. He writes these really long Instagram posts about like what it's like crossing like 11 time zones in a flight, and how like the flight crews fall asleep, and like it's hysterical. And he's a 787 captain, so he probably makes $300,000 a year at least. But he's always talking about like how poor he is and how broke he is, and jokingly, of course, being very modest. But he's a funny guy. Hey Dame, I was wondering. So I googled. I did some googling last time after the last flight because I wanted to check it out. So Dame, it's nice to address you by name. But that's B787 bus driver. He's a great storyteller. So I guess we can come out around one more time and then go inland, I guess. There's That's gotta be where we left from. That's Beef Island. Probably St. John, St. Thomas right there, if I had to guess. But this part of the island is very almost rural. And there's this long road. You come down here, it goes all the way along the south side. Really kind of a cool drive, actually. There's a couple restaurants that we stopped at along the way. Bald Eagle 5 or Bald Eagle 6. Are you on Volanta, Dame? I think Volanta's a pretty cool tool. I don't know if everybody even knows about it. It's like a flight tracking software, which is there's a freeware version of it, which is really cool. It just tracks all of your flights, and like on a map, so you can look back at like all of the routes that you've flown. It's really pretty neat. Really pretty neat. This part of the island gets very rural out here. I think this might be one of the two restaurants that I was thinking of that we went out and visited. Okay, Dame. Yeah, I'm gonna add me as a friend on there so I can add you back. Please, I should say please. Yeah, there's like these. This is a resort. This just an interesting. We came and looked at a house like right along over here somewhere, and done. Nice. Yeah, Volanta is awesome. Oh, Eagle 5. There's 6. I still can't figure out why they didn't include this. In the points of interest. So, no, I haven't. You know, this Peter, the thing about the Google Maps enhancement that makes me nervous, and I suppose it really should, is just that it is an unauthorized use, you know, and I've never heard of Google like blocking anybody from doing it, or like, you know, any any like consequences of using it. But I've always been weary of trying it, and I know there's somebody selling like a professional version, which is weird. You know what, Dame, I thought that was probably the case. I thought that was probably exactly the case. It was supposed to be BVI. So Peter, I'm gonna have to take you up on that and give that a try, because I mean, honestly, it's gotta be. I've looked at some videos comparing what the terrain, what the ground looks like when you're looking at the Google Maps enhancement versus the Bing Maps, and it certainly looks a lot better. You know, does it do anything with the water masks, or no? Everything stays the same as far as the water goes. I mean, this just looks absolutely. Look at this. I mean, it's astounding. It's absolutely amazing. And I don't know where it is, but there's a place on St. Croix where I was just reminded of it looking at this kind of edge along here, where it drops off literally like 2,000 feet just from one spot to the other, like from one foot to the other. And I want to see where it is. Oh my gosh. It's 13,000 feet. Wow. Yeah, Caribfly, it did. It did. The photogrammetry got updated. Or actually, I'm not. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking you were asking water masking. I know that like the water masking and the depth of the water. I mean, it looks unbelievable. I know that all got updated. Seeing like the tiling, but you know, honestly, that doesn't really bother me. It looks so good that I just don't even care. Oh, E3N. So if you're using the Google Maps, it doesn't do all this popping in, is what you're saying. That's amazing. All right, I'm gonna have to try that out then. I don't know why. I've just never wanted to mess with it. And yeah, the paid version is a little sketchy because that's somebody literally charging you for Google's data, and like, you know, like they shouldn't be doing that. But there's some dive point, there's some dive site along here. I don't know exactly where it is, where it drops off 13,000 feet, 13,000. like crazy. And some idiot like 10 years ago, he was a doctor on St. Croix, like wanted to set the world like free diving, some kind of world record of like, I don't even remember. I think he was using oxygen, but like maybe no tube, like it was only his own self-contained oxygen tanks or whatever. I don't know exactly how it went, but he tried to set the world record like of the deepest dive, and he succeeded in killing himself in the process. And I've gone scuba diving once, and I always liked Jerry Seinfeld's take on. I'm not a really big Jerry Seinfeld fan, but his take on hey, Steve Stavros, how are you? Welcome aboard. Jerry Seinfeld's take on scuba diving, I think, is one of my favorite lines ever. He said it's a hobby where your main goal is to not die. And I went scuba diving one time in Anguilla, and it was great. It was fascinating. But the thing about it is, the weird part for me was that it felt claustrophobic, even though you're in open water. I mean, we were in a little bay. The water was probably 35, 40 feet deep, like an enclosed bay, which is crystal clear, really, really beautiful. Something like this would have been something like this. It wasn't like, scuba diving out here, but it felt really claustrophobic because that mask that you have on is like the only thing that's, preventing you from having to surface, even though you're only like 25 feet deep. And it was just weird. Yeah, well wishes for Charles, right? King Charles. I mean, it's funny how we are all human, We are all human. And he must have such a weird life, if you think about it. About it, spending all the, it's funny because we just watched the final season of The Crown on Netflix, and it was interesting seeing like how sort of controversial even the Queen was in like the mid '90s when Princess Diana died, and how the royal family reacted to that, and blah blah blah. I mean, I know that The Crown is like completely dramatized, but and people were talking about whether the royal family was like in touch with the country and blah blah blah. To go from that to where, I mean, she was just absolutely revered, in the later years of her life, and I think rightly so. I've worked with a lot of people from the UK, and most of them are younger. Like most of them are in their like late 20s, early 30s. And let's just say they are not, what's the term? They are not fans of the royal system, let's put it that way. But I thought she was just such a dignified woman, So we drove out, this is our second pass at this resort. We drove through all these mountains, then you drive all the way along the coast. Drive all the way along the coast, you kind of turn there, come along here to this resort. I forget what the resort is called. Bernardo, how are you, sir? The great Bernardo is here. Bernardo is one of the freeware sim designers for the island. That's a great little resort. Get food for lunch there. Really pretty neat. Yeah, the Queen. And Bernardo is Bernardo is one of the yeah, Kevin. I mean, this is the beauty of it, right? We're all entitled to our own opinions on these things. But it's gotta be such a bizarre life because you're in this bubble like 24/7, and it's not even just like when you're out in public. I mean, I guess any sort of celebrity is the same way, but I think the royal family in the UK is like celebrity times 100. Like I've always wondered if they're. I mean, it's got to be to a point at some time. There's the POI again. That like you're literally thinking about the implications of the words that are coming out of your mouth as they're coming out of your mouth. You know. Same thing for like a president. You know, president of the United States. Like you can't make offhand comments. You can't just make cracks because of the impact those words can have. You know. But yeah. So we'll go head over to the airport here. So I'm thinking about doing some videos on, because nobody does videos, or people don't often anyway do videos on like flying small planes, you know, like how to fly small planes well. And I was thinking about doing some of those videos, and I wanted to see if what you guys thought, like, you know, like an in-depth flight in the Warrior or like the Arrow, you know, like proper procedures for VFR. Not really talking IFR, but like VFR flying, do's and don'ts. Bernardo, I am in St. Croix. We are in St. Croix. And there is, right along here, there were a couple restaurants along this beach. And also along here, there are some restaurants that were really kind of cool. But yeah, this is a massive ship pier here. Alright, so we'll start slowing it down here. We'll go fuel pumps on. Mixtures are rich. Under 115 knots. We'll go first degree of flaps. The Comanche. The Comanche. I've had so many people talk to me about the Comanche and what a good plane that is. Maybe I should start listening to them. Hey Kevin, that's really good to know, because I always wondered like if because I feel the same way you do. I mean, I'm not going to be able to teach you anything about flying the 737 that like 737 NG driver is not going to be able to tell you. You know, I think different people explain things different ways, and it can be helpful. But I'm glad to hear that. Look at that, guys. There is the outer marker. The outer marker is approximately 5 miles from the runway. Alright. We'll go mixtures of props full forward. Fuel pumps are on. Alright, guys, you're on. I will definitely do that. I've got a, yeah, Bernardo, the water masking is good. Let's check here real quick. This is a very standard pre-landing checklist for GA planes. Check your fuel pumps, mixtures and props, and then gear if you have a retractable gear, which of course this plane does not. But the one I always do is fuel pumps on, mixtures and props full forward, seatbelts are secure. You always want to make sure you got your seatbelts on before landing. It may seem obvious, but some people take them off when they're flying. I don't. pretty soon here we should get the middle marker. But I'm glad that people are interested in smaller planes. So I probably wouldn't have started streaming small planes if it hadn't been for the Caribbean update. I'd probably be streaming the ATR, which again is a pretty cool plane. Hey Bombasso, how you doing? I'm glad, Kevin. I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that. Whoopsie. So if you ever get low on an approach, don't try to nibble your way back up to see I just got one white right there on the Pappy. Level off, just add power and literally just level off your climb, or your descent rather, until you get back on glide slope. Don't try to go little bit to try to get back on glide slope. Just add power and level off until you capture the glide slope again. Because if you don't do that, you might find something underneath you. In other words, you might hit something. They have they have a glide slope for a reason. All right, we can start bringing some power out now. Good. Get the runway made for sure. All right, and power out, power out, power out. Whoopsie. You know why I just ballooned right there? I'm going too fast. Good landing. But did you see that little balloon right before I touched down? The only way you can balloon an airplane is if you've got airspeed. Basically, if you balloon a plane, that means you're going too fast. That's basically the story. The little jet that could, Mike, the BA-146. There's some jets that I'm interested in. Like I'm really interested in the E-jets, the Embraers. But the problem is, like, it takes a while to learn them. You know, even though I'm really starting to realize that for the most part, you know, jets are largely the same. You know, and they've definitely improved the grasses down here because they weren't this good last time I was here. But like I wouldn't want to take as much time to learn all the Embraer ins and outs, you know. I flew the CRJ quite a bit. The CRJ was my first jet. And alright, mixtures are lean, put the flaps up. Fuel pumps off. That's another good lesson or good thing to keep in mind. Don't try reconfiguring the plane and doing all that stuff on the runway. Wait till you're clear of the runway before you start doing all that. Because like I mean I can give a reasonably good tutorial of flying, like, you know, the ATR in particular, but like also the 737. But it's sort of learned knowledge, I guess is a weird way of putting it, but like I've, you know, clearly never flown anything like it. Whereas with planes like this or the Arrow or the, you know, the Baron, Bonanza, stuff like that, like I can tell you from experience about flying them, you know, and good, you know, do's and don'ts, you know. So maybe I will be the small for a parking space, the small plane streaming channel. This is fun stuff anyway. My first instructor always said that the fun thing about flying is going up and coming down. He said everything else is boring. And he's pretty much right, you know. He's pretty much right. I think this looks like an actual parking space here. But yeah, I saw that about the E175 too. I guess there's two of them. There's like there's two different companies that are making the E175, E195. I guess one of them's not too bad, but come over here. Alright, mixtures to idle cut off. Throttles are idle. Two pumps are off, flaps are up. Go. Always turn your avionics off before you turn the mags off. And we'll go lights off, master and battery switches off. And we'll set the parking brake. We'll open our doors. And we'll set out the boarding steps and the chocks. Cool, cool, cool. And hey, I'm guys, if you want to watch, I'll stream small planes all day long. I mean, I love flying. That was what really the first thing that really got me excited about Microsoft Flight Simulator was when this airplane came out in this livery. I found this livery on flightsim.to, and bombing around like St. Bart's and Anguilla, St. Martin. That's the first thing that really excited me about this sim. I don't know if I've told the story, and with all of you here, or some of you hadn't heard the story or not, but I've actually flown in this actual airplane like a bunch of times. Victor Papa Alpha Alpha Charlie. When I go to Anguilla, American Airlines flies in there now, but for the longest time nobody did, and so what we would do is fly over to, you know what, Chris, I have not flown the Beech 18, and I love the Beech 18. That's a cool plane. That and the Stagger Wing. The only thing is I don't really like tail draggers, but maybe I'll have to get over that and fly those. Hey, Caribfly, thanks, man. I was relatively pleased with that. I had a little bit of a balloon there, but it was pretty good. But what we used to do, or what we normally do, is fly to St. Martin with American Airlines. We always fly American, and then hey, T5 camper van, Jan, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Whenever one of you guys says thank you, I always say thank you back, because what I do wouldn't matter if you guys didn't watch. So thank you. I really appreciate it. But we would fly into St. Martin and to Princess Juliana, and then we'd hop over to Anguilla in one of these, in this airplane, this actual airplane, and that's how I started to get to know the pilots in Anguilla, and started making friends with them, and was able to then start flying with them around the islands, and it's fun. It's funny. The flight from St. Martin to Anguilla is the world's shortest commercial flight. It takes 7 minutes. I've got about seven different videos of it on my channel, the real life versions. Yeah, stay off Boeing, exactly. Hey Wilbur, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, Joshua, that's great, man. I hope it works for you as well as it does from, hopefully you don't have any hitches with it. It's tremendous. It's a huge upgrade. But yeah, so we would fly, I mean, obviously I love traveling. I love being in planes, so the getting to wherever we're going is like half the fun for me. But the most fun part of the trip from New York to Anguilla was always getting in the Islander for that 10 minutes and hopping over to Anguilla. And I'm actually looking at tickets right now to start thinking about heading down to Anguilla in August, which is, I know it's a weird time to go to the islands, but that's when we usually go. And all right, guys. Well, I am very, very grateful for everybody who joined it. It's always so much fun. I always have even though I'm the only one talking, like with all the comments and stuff, it's really a lot of fun. I enjoy this a lot and enjoy you guys. I'm gonna do it tomorrow again. Same, probably. I might be able to do it at 3:30 tomorrow. Maybe able to do a bit of a longer stream. But we're gonna do another one tomorrow. We'll do it. We'll do it from here. We'll head to Culebra, which is an awesome approach. We'll go check out Vieques, and Yeah, we'll just we'll continue our way westbound, and we will eventually get back down to the ABC Islands. But Chris, you caught me. It's the flight from St. Martin to Anguilla is the world's shortest international commercial flight. You're correct. Um, so hey Peter, I'm glad. Thank you, and Mike, thank you, and Dame, thank you again as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, if you guys are interested in small plane streaming, I am definitely down. So I gotta sign off for today, but I'll put the time up later on this evening when I'm gonna be on tomorrow. And guys, I really appreciate it. Chris, Ray, Caribfly, Jan, Mike, Wilbur, Joshua, Bombasso, Kevin, Dame, Chris. I already said Chris. Peter, Wilbur, thank you so much. And I really appreciate it, guys. You make this a lot of fun. So, hope everybody has a good night, and we'll see each other tomorrow.